Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to keep you and to give you hope and a bright future. Good afternoon, Professor and classmates. My name is Brittany Creighton, and I am in Professor Blackert's Theatrical Design Theater 725 class. Our assignment was to do a rendering as well as a plan and model of our version of the set of The Adding Machine by Elma Rice. So I am going to take you through my design process, my thought process, and my final product. We were given a scale model of Regent University stage. This is the model that I used. As you can see, for the scale, it says every 1/4 of an inch is equal to 1 foot. Hopefully I said that correctly. So my theme of this play was human isolation. And the first rendering I did, because I wanted to show that Mr. Zero and Mrs. Zero come from meager and humble beginnings, I want their house to have very minimal furniture. They got married very young, they got married quickly, and they were given hand-me-down furniture from their family. So their room would basically only have a chair, a table, and a sofa maybe. That was in my rendering. I decided to forego the sofa because it would be too difficult to move. I wanted a window, and I wanted the window to be of considerable size. That is something I also changed in my actual model. I wanted it to be of considerable size because I want to show the human isolation theme where Mr. Zero is really by himself in a world that really does not value him or appreciate him. He has no merit to those around him, and his only source of comfort is a window looking into the outside world. So this is the scene of the this is a rendering of the living room. Here we go into Mr. Zero's office, and the office has a chair as well as a desk, and it has file cabinets on the wall and bookcases on the wall, and there will be 2 desks there, one for Mr. Zero, one for Miss Daisy. Everything is basically he's basically by himself, and like again going with my human isolation theme, he's by himself in a world that is basically not made for him. As you can see, the back is, I wanted to make sure that it was a triangle theme, so the corners are very sharp. That goes with my human isolation theme. It also goes with my set is actually 3. It's a circular set, and it has 3 pieces. As you will see, it has like a uppercase Y design, as you can see when I bring you to the actual set. Oops. The next scene is the cemetery. I wanted to show a very nighttime theme. I want a casket in the front. I decided I wanted a casket in the front because I wanted Mr. Zero to be able to pop out of the casket when he decides that he is a ghost. I want to show that even in death, you can be, like, death is not a final stop. As Christians, we know that when you die, you go to judgment. You either go to heaven and hear the Lord say, well done, or, he says, depart from you, and you go to hell. So the theme of the cemetery, it would be a nighttime. It would also be, I wanted to show fall. I want to be a specific contrast between the Elysian fields and the cemetery. So the cemetery will be fall, it will be brown colors, and then the Elysian fields, everything will be fresh and green to show that, to show reincarnation, new life, and a change. The jail, of course, I want Mr. Zero to be in jail contemplating his, his evident demise. And that's just a very simple theme with bricks on the wall, black wall, a chair, a table, a toilet, simple jail things. I decided to alter that a little bit to allow for his wife and the angel of death to come. As you can see, I'm still with that sharp corner, so you can still go with the triangle. This is Mr. Zero's office. So the first rendering, I got confused. The first rendering is not his office. The first rendering is a train station. Well, I'll explain why I wanted a train station when we get to the actual model. This is Mr. Zero's office. I wanted books, and I wanted the books to be bigger than Mr. Zero and the set, to show that Mr. Zero is actually a part of a much bigger operation, and he's not as valued as he thought he was. So as you can see, the desk that we used previously will be Mrs. Daisy's desk. This will be Mr. Zero's desk. We are keeping with the theme. This is his bedroom / living room area we just saw with the sofa and the chair. This is the table. This is that same window that he will be looking out with the prostitutes. And that is those are my renderings. As I said before, it's on 1/4 inch scale. So we're going to turn this around, and we're going to actually show you my model. So all of my pieces are 1/4 of an inch, so that we can see the contrast. The jail cell, the jail bars will be made out of pool noodles, the styrofoam pool noodles, so that they're pliable, able to be moved, and able to be taken down quickly. The leaves on the wall are going to have the mathematical equations that are going to be wrong, such as 2 + 2 = 6 and 9 + 9 = 36, stuff like that, because I want to show that when in jail, Mr. Zero is starting to lose touch with his reality. Now, it's very important that I have a clock in the certain scenes to show Mr. Zero to show that time waits for no man, and to put Mr. Zero's mortality in retrospect to what's going on in the scene. So it was very important to me to keep my circular design so that the set is able to easily move. It shows my isolation theme, my human alienation theme. I was very now in real life, when I designed the actual set, this will not be on top of each other. They will be side by side. So not side by side, but it would actually only be a 3-area stage, and these areas will be able to be taken down with styrofoam, like in Velcro. So when the actors come in, scenes will transform. For example, the graveyard and the Elysian Fields, it will be the grass will be made of AstroTurf, and on one side it'll be the brown area, and then the other side it will be the green grass. So that, because that's going to be one part of the stage. I just wanted to make individual pieces, individual sets, so that you can see my vision instead of me having to move everything. I wanted it to be stationary. So here we are. We have the jail. It turns independently from the bottom. Then we see we are at the train station / reincarnation office, as I call it. I wanted it to be a train station because I wanted the theme of mortality in motion. So we are all on a journey, and it's called Main Street Travel because as souls we are traveling through the mainstream of life. So as you can see, the souls would enter here. They would sit on the bench, and they would go and see the gentleman at the help desk, at the soul help desk per se. There would be somewhere over there. There would be like a departure schedule, so that they know. It would, it would just say simply a first initial, last name, and then a new birth date, something like that. So the souls would come in at the red light. They would stop. They would take their picture, and then they would go down this way to be reincarnated. That is actually where the light will be coming from for Mr. Zero when he sees that when he goes to be reincarnated, he doesn't really want to go. This is the desk where he would be sitting at the end with the adding machine. He's finally got comfortable in his state. And I was very adamant and very determined that the set should turn independently. So as you can see, this part turns while the other part stays stationary. So this is the office that I was referring to. The floor would just be textured. It would just be painted a certain color to show that these areas of the stage are the same. So as you can see, this is Mr. Zero's desk. This is Miss Daisy's desk. Each have their own file cabinets. We have a bookcase right there. I wanted the books that are on top to be bigger than I wanted them to be exaggerated, because I wanted to show that Mr. Zero, if he was right here, he would be his own person, and he would think that, you would think that Mr. Zero is a productive, successful, important member of society. But when you look back at it in relation to what else is going on in the scene, you realize how insignificant he really is. So if you're looking at it from right here, Mr. Zero looks very, very like he's, very important. He, he has something to contribute. He is, an individual in society. But when you take it back and you look at it in comparison to everything else, you really see how small he really is, which goes with my cogs in the machine theme. Like, as humankind, as humanity, we think that we are very important, and we have our own special place in society, and we should be valued, but it's just like people that work, and they work all the time, and they don't take off, and they don't do things for their family. But if they were to die, by the end of the week, your job would have someone else taking your place. So it's very important to take time out for you, because in the grand scheme of things, you're just a worker in a giant assembly line. So if we turn, as you can see, it turns independently away from the bottom. So I showed you the jail, I showed you the office, I showed you the train station. So if we go down, we go to the next scene. This is the scene of the cemetery. It turns. So this is the scene of the cemetery. I was very specific that I wanted a hill in the back. As you can see, the hill, it's covered. The tombstones are on the hill, because I wanted a place for the actors to enter in and out to get in the caskets. So in that scene, Mr. Zero would come through the middle casket right here. He would pop up, and the other spirits would pop up from the other casket. So they would go through the hill. There would be a hole at the bottom of the casket. The trees, and the tombstones will be made out of styrofoam, and the fences, the grass will be made out of brown astroturf, and it will be able to be transferred or switched into the Elysian Fields theme. So that same hill, as we turn, that same hill that was where the tombstones would be, is now the Elysian Fields. This area right here, that will be the hill. The hill will be turned upside down, and the flowers and everything would be on top of it. The trees also will be made out of styrofoam, and that shows the reason why in the cemetery I chose fall, like I said, is because when people see trees and when people see trees in the fall, they think of death. You know, fall, the grass turns brown or whatever, and the tree, the leaves turn brown and they die, but they are reborn in the spring, just like Mr. Zero will be reincarnated. So it's basically rebirth, redemption, just like that. Just like the trees will get redeemed, reborn in the spring, or in the Elysian Field scene, Mr. Zero will get reborn and reincarnated. So that is why those themes are the same. As you can see, this turns. So then we go into the bedroom / living room. So I have a bigger than scale window because I want to show that Mr. Zero is in the grand, like in the grand scheme of things, he's really, like I said, insignificant. Human alienation. This is where the prostitute will be, and he will be looking out into the world that he does not belong into, wishing that he can assimilate. So that's why I wanted the window bigger, because his desire to assimilate into normal society is great. I have the table for Mr. and Mrs. Zero. I have the bed, a nightstand, simple things that will all be made out of lightweight materials that can easily be transported. So this is, like I said, is built on 1/4 of a scale. This is my set of Regent University main stage, including the apron. And if you look, you can see, like I said, it turns. Oh, my light went off in my classroom. It turns independently. I'll give you one more final view. And at the bottom, it turns as a whole. So to make my circular stage, I used cardboard cake pieces, 12 inches. And I used felt for my grass. And I am not a scenic artist, so rather than create trees that would look horrible to me, I purchased trees. So yeah, so there are 4 cake pieces, one as a stationary, then one right here as a base, and one right there. So, oh, it's actually 5. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a dowel in the middle, between the walls, going straight down the middle, so that it's able to turn, and the top is able to turn independently. So here is my set. I am very pleased with it. I actually got frustrated because I'm not a designer, but I prayed and I was determined to finish, and I knew I had a vision as complex as it is, and it came out very, very good. So if we go back to my renderings, I am very pleased with the way everything turned out. See the bookcase, you saw the bed, saw the table. As you can see, I'm very, very pleased with my assignment. Just goes to show you, you don't have to be, and you don't have to specialize in a specific thing. If you just stay focused and determined and follow directions and keep God at the center of it, everything will turn out right. Turn. Get it? Thank you. Bye-bye.